A wealthy woman stood in the mall parking lot, watching a black woman get into her Rolls-Royce. She immediately assumed the worst. This woman was stealing her car. Without thinking, without approaching the person calmly, she called the police. She told them a suspicious woman was breaking into a luxury car. She made assumptions based purely on appearance. But what she didn't know would change her life. What she didn't realize was that the woman driving away in the Rolls-Royce wasn't a criminal. She was about to become the new police chief of the entire city. And in just moments, the wealthy woman's assumptions would be exposed, her racism would be recorded, and she would face consequences she never saw coming. If you want to see how one person's prejudice led to an encounter with the highest-ranking police official that will make you question your own biases, hit that like button and subscribe right now. Who is Patricia Westbrook? Patricia Westbrook was 58 years old, wealthy, and completely convinced of her own superiority. She came from old money, the kind that had been in her family for generations. Her father had been a real estate mogul. Her mother was a socialite who spent her days organizing charity events and judging everyone around her. Patricia had learned the family business of judgment very well. She lived in an exclusive neighborhood where houses cost millions of dollars. Her home had 12 bedrooms, a swimming pool, a tennis court, and a 3-car garage. She drove a Rolls-Royce Ghost, a car that cost more than most people's houses. It was silver gray with custom leather seats and a price tag of $350,000. Patricia had never worked a day in her life. Her money was inherited. Her life was spent shopping, having lunch with friends, and maintaining her perfect image as someone who belonged at the top of society. She'd never gone to college. She'd never had a career. But she'd learned one skill very well. She'd learned how to judge people based on their appearance, their race, their social status. Her prejudices weren't even something she thought about. They were just part of who she was, as natural to her as breathing. She saw a person's skin color and made immediate assumptions about their character, their intelligence, their intentions. She'd lived her entire life never questioning whether these assumptions might be wrong. Patricia had never experienced real consequences for her behavior. When she was rude to a waiter, the restaurant manager apologized to her. When she made an offensive comment to a colleague, nobody corrected her. When she looked down on someone, that person was typically someone with no power to fight back. She'd built a life surrounded by people like her, wealthy, white, and completely insulated from the real world. Who is Chief Justice Mitchell? Justice Mitchell was 47 years old and had spent her entire adult life serving her community as a police officer. She started as a patrol officer at age 22, working in some of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the city. She worked her way up through the ranks through dedication, intelligence, and genuine compassion for the people she served. Over 25 years, Justice had earned the respect of every officer under her command. She was known for being tough but fair. She was known for actually listening to the communities she policed. She was known for holding racist officers accountable instead of protecting them. She'd been shot at. She'd been injured. She'd lost colleagues. But she'd never lost her commitment to serving with integrity. Justice had earned her law degree while working full-time as a police sergeant. She'd gone to night school. She'd studied on her days off. She'd balanced her career and her education while being a single mother to her 2 children. Everything she'd achieved, she'd earned through hard work, not inheritance. Recently, Justice had been promoted to police chief of the entire city. She was the first black police chief in the city's history. It was a position that came with intense scrutiny from people like Patricia Westbrook, people who believed that Justice hadn't earned it, that she'd only gotten it because of her race, that she didn't deserve the position. Justice knew what people like Patricia thought of her. She'd dealt with discrimination her entire career. But she didn't let it stop her. She let her work speak for itself. She was a police chief who actually understood the communities she served. She was a leader who valued accountability. She was exactly the kind of chief the city needed. A simple misunderstanding. It was a Tuesday afternoon in October. Chief Justice Mitchell had taken a personal day. She had an appointment in the downtown area and decided to grab lunch at an upscale restaurant. While she was eating, she noticed a Rolls-Royce in the parking lot through the restaurant window. The car was beautiful, and Justice had always appreciated fine automobiles as an art form. Justice finished her lunch and decided to take a walk through the shopping district before going back to her office. She strolled through several stores, looking at things she didn't need but enjoying the experience of being off-duty and normal for a moment. When she was ready to return to her office, she headed back toward the parking lot. As she was walking, she noticed something. Her sister had texted her about 20 minutes ago saying she was in the area and asking if they could meet. Justice's sister was supposed to pick her up and drive her back to her office. But Justice's sister wasn't waiting where they'd planned. Justice looked around. Then she saw a text from her sister. "I'm running late. I borrowed Mom's car to drive there. It's the silver Rolls-Royce in the parking lot." Justice smiled. Her mother had recently purchased a Rolls-Royce, a splurge she'd made after selling her late husband's business. It was one of her mother's proudest purchases. Justice headed toward the silver Rolls-Royce in the parking lot. When Justice reached the car, she used her key fob to unlock it. She got in, adjusted the seat, and prepared to drive. That's when she noticed Patricia Westbrook standing outside her own Rolls-Royce, which was parked 2 spaces away. Patricia had just come out of the mall, carrying shopping bags. She was walking toward her own car when she noticed Justice getting into the silver Rolls-Royce. Immediately, Patricia's brain made assumptions. A black woman getting into an expensive luxury car in a parking lot. In Patricia's mind, this could only mean one thing: she was stealing it. Patricia didn't approach Justice calmly. She didn't walk over and ask, "Excuse me, is that your car?" She didn't give Justice a chance to explain. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called 911. The false accusation asterisk. 911. "What is your emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "Yes, hello," Patricia said, her voice urgent and self-righteous. "I'm at the downtown shopping plaza on 5th Street. There's a woman stealing a car. She's a black woman, driving a silver Rolls-Royce. She's breaking into it right now. She looks very suspicious. I'm concerned for everyone's safety." The dispatcher noted the information. A car theft in progress at a shopping plaza. Police were sent immediately. Justice was adjusting the mirrors and programming her sister's destination into the GPS when she saw the police cars arrive. She saw them pull into the parking lot, lights off for now, but clearly responding to something. She didn't think much of it. Police responded to parking lots all the time. Then the police cars headed directly toward her. Justice turned off the ignition. She understood immediately what had happened. Someone had called the police because they'd seen her getting into a car and made an assumption based on her race. She'd dealt with this before, but it never got easier. 2 police officers approached the car, hands near their weapons. This was standard protocol for a car theft, but it was also terrifying. Justice knew that things could escalate quickly in situations like this. "Step out of the vehicle with your hands visible," one of the officers commanded. Justice complied immediately. She was a police officer herself, so she knew the protocol. She stepped out slowly, hands raised, showing that she was cooperating. As she stepped out, both officers recognized her immediately. "Chief Mitchell," one of the officers said, his eyes going wide. He clearly hadn't been working under her yet, but he knew who she was. "Officers," Justice said calmly, "I can explain. This is my mother's car. She let me borrow it." But before the officers could respond, Patricia Westbrook walked over, completely confident in her righteousness. "That's the woman," Patricia declared loudly. "She was breaking into that car. I saw her. She was getting in without using proper entry. Very suspicious." Justice looked at Patricia calmly. She saw a woman in expensive designer clothes, dripping with jewelry, completely convinced that she'd done something noble by calling the police on a black woman. Justice said, her voice professional and patient. "I was unlocking this car with my key fob. This is my mother's vehicle." "That's what all criminals say," Patricia said dismissively. She turned to the officers. "I live on Meadowbrook Estate. I know this area well. I know that woman doesn't belong here. I know she was stealing that car." One of the officers looked at the other. Both understood immediately what was happening. The first officer said to Patricia, "This is Chief Justice Mitchell. She is the police chief of this city. She is not stealing this car. Patricia's face went pale. The color drained completely from her skin. She looked at Justice with an expression of shock and horror as the full weight of what she'd just done crashed over her. Asterisk the immediate aftermath asterisk. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Patricia stood there, her hands still holding shopping bags, understanding that she just made the worst mistake of her life. I didn't know, Patricia stammered. I was just trying to be helpful. I saw a woman I didn't recognize getting into a car, and I thought. You assumed I was stealing because of my race, Justice said simply. Let's be honest about what happened here. You saw my skin color and made a decision. Patricia tried to defend herself. It wasn't about that. I just thought. You thought a black woman getting into a luxury car was suspicious, Justice interrupted. A white woman getting into a luxury car would be normal to you. But because of my skin color, you assumed the worst. The two officers stood awkwardly, unsure what to do. This was their police chief, and she'd just been falsely accused by this wealthy woman. Justice looked at Patricia with what could best be described as professional pity. I'm going to give you some advice. Before you call the police on someone based on your assumptions, take a moment to actually interact with them. Actually ask questions. Actually try to understand before you judge. The world would be a much better place if more people did that. Justice got back into the car. Patricia stood in the parking lot, completely humiliated, as the chief of police drove away. Asterisk the news spreads asterisk. By that evening, the story had spread throughout the police department. Officers were talking about what Patricia Westbrook had done. They were laughing about how she tried to get their new chief arrested because of racist assumptions. Some of the officers were angry about it. Others thought it was justice, a wealthy woman finally facing consequences for the kinds of behaviors that went unchallenged in her world. But Chief Justice Mitchell didn't talk about it publicly. She didn't post about it on social media. She didn't use it to make some grand statement about racism in America. She simply did her job with the same professionalism and dedication she always showed. However, the story didn't stay quiet. A journalist heard about it. The journalist contacted the police department and asked for a statement. The police department confirmed that an officer had responded to a report of a car theft and found the person in question was Chief Justice Mitchell. The journalist published the story online. Within 24 hours, the story had gone viral. Wealthy woman calls police on police chief became the headline on dozens of news outlets. People on social media were discussing it. Some people defended Patricia, saying she was just being cautious. But most people were criticizing her for the racist assumptions that led to the false report. Asterisk recognition and reckoning asterisk. Patricia Westbrook woke up the next morning to find herself famous, but not in the way she wanted. Her name was everywhere. Her photo had been published. People online were discussing her actions. Some people knew who she was in real life, and her friends and associates were asking her about the incident. She was humiliated. But more than that, she was starting to understand something she'd never really grasped before. Her actions had real consequences. For the first time in her life, Patricia Westbrook was facing accountability. That afternoon, Patricia did something she'd never done before. She called the police station and asked to speak with Chief Justice Mitchell. The chief's assistant was surprised by the request, but she passed it along. Justice agreed to meet with Patricia. Patricia arrived at police headquarters wearing a humble expression and no makeup, a rare sight for her. She looked like what she was, a woman who'd been forced to confront something uncomfortable about herself. Justice sat across from her in a small conference room, professional but not unfriendly. I want to apologize, Patricia said, her voice shaking. I made racist assumptions about you based on your appearance. That was wrong. I'm sorry. Justice listened. She'd heard apologies before, but she was curious whether this was genuine. I've been thinking about it all night, Patricia continued. I've been thinking about all the times I probably made similar assumptions about people. All the times I judged people based on how they looked. All the times I called the police or complained to managers or told people they didn't belong because of their race. I never realized I was doing it, but I was. She looked directly at Justice. I want to be better, but I don't know how. This was the moment that could have gone two ways. Justice could have rejected the apology, could have dismissed Patricia as a lost cause. Or Justice could have recognized a genuine moment of growth. Justice chose to recognize the growth. Here's what you can do, Justice said. First, you can tell your friends what you did. You can be honest about it. You can tell them about the racist assumptions that led you to call the police on someone based on their appearance. Second, you can educate yourself. Read about implicit bias. Watch documentaries. Listen to people of color talk about their experiences. Third, you can actually get to know people from different communities. Stop living in your bubble. That's how change happens. Patricia nodded, taking this advice seriously. One more thing, Justice said. I'm inviting you to participate in a community policing event that my department is organizing. It's meant to bring together police and community members so that we can understand each other better. I want you there. I want you to hear from people in communities that are different from yours. I want you to understand how your assumptions and actions affect real people. Patricia agreed immediately. The beginning of change. Over the next few months, Patricia began a journey of growth that she never expected to take. She attended the community policing event, where she heard stories from people about times they'd been discriminated against. She listened, really listened, instead of making excuses or defending herself. She began reading books about racial bias and systemic racism. She took online courses about implicit bias. She started questioning assumptions that she'd never questioned before. She also did something significant. She donated $1 million to create a scholarship fund for young people of color interested in pursuing careers in law enforcement. The fund was named after Chief Justice Mitchell. Most importantly, Patricia changed how she interacted with people. When she saw someone she didn't recognize doing something unusual, she stopped assuming the worst. She stopped calling the police based on appearance alone. She stopped making snap judgments about people based on how they looked. She even became friends with Justice Mitchell. It wasn't a close friendship, but it was genuine. They would have lunch occasionally, and Justice would continue to push Patricia to think deeper about her own biases and assumptions. What this story teaches us. The encounter between Patricia Westbrook and Chief Justice Mitchell is about more than one woman's racist assumptions. It's about a fundamental truth in America, that people of color are constantly subjected to suspicion based purely on their race. Think about how many times this exact scenario plays out in America. A black person is accused of stealing, or breaking and entering, or not belonging somewhere, based on nothing but appearance. Sometimes these accusations are made by security guards. Sometimes they're made by store managers. Sometimes, like in this case, they're made by random citizens. What made this incident different was that the person being accused was in a position of power. She was the police chief. She could fight back. She had resources and authority. But most people subjected to this kind of discrimination don't have that kind of power. They're left vulnerable and helpless. This story also teaches us about the power of accountability and growth. Patricia Westbrook was forced to confront her racism. And instead of doubling down and defending herself, she chose to listen, to learn, and to change. That's not always what happens. But when it does, it's powerful. The bigger picture. The real issue that this story highlights is implicit bias, the unconscious assumptions we make about people based on their appearance. We all have implicit biases. They're learned through years of societal messaging, stereotypes, and our own limited experiences. The key is recognizing them and actively working to overcome them. What Justice Mitchell did in this situation was educational. She didn't try to destroy Patricia. She didn't refuse her apology. She didn't call for her arrest or prosecution. Instead, she used it as an opportunity to teach. And that teaching created real change, not just in Patricia's life, but in the people Patricia influences. Where they are today. Today, Patricia Westbrook is a vocal advocate against racism and implicit bias. She speaks at community events about her own journey from prejudice to understanding. She's donated millions to racial justice causes. She's become friends with people from communities she previously looked down on. And Chief Justice Mitchell has become known for her ability to transform even the most resistant people through education and engagement. She's pioneered programs that bring police and community together. She's held officers accountable for racist behavior while also showing compassion and creating space for people to grow and change. The Rolls-Royce incident became a teaching moment that changed multiple lives. It proved that even in our most entrenched biases, change is possible. It proved that accountability can lead to growth. It proved that sometimes, the best response to someone's racism isn't to destroy them, it's to educate them and give them the opportunity to become better. Final message and call to action ***. Patricia Westbrook's racist assumptions almost got a police chief arrested based purely on her race. But instead of that becoming a tragedy, it became a transformation. One woman's willingness to be challenged, to listen, and to grow changed not just herself but rippled out to affect everyone around her. Chief Justice Mitchell showed incredible grace by using this moment not for punishment but for education. If this story reminded you that we all have unconscious biases, and that growth and change are always possible when we're willing to confront our own prejudices, hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel ***. We share stories that challenge us to be better, that prove transformation is real, and that show us the power of facing our own biases. Have you ever made an assumption about someone that turned out to be wrong? Or have you ever been on the receiving end of someone's racist assumptions? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else understand their own biases and inspire them to grow. There's a powerful detail at 1:54 in this video where Justice Mitchell calmly explains to Patricia exactly what happened, how her racial assumptions led her to call the police. Watch again and pay attention to how Justice didn't get angry but simply held up a mirror to Patricia's behavior. Tell us in the comments how that moment of honest accountability affected you. Don't miss our next story of accountability, growth, and transformation. Subscribe now and turn on the notification bell to be inspired to become a better version of yourself.